Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. This is Shawnee.
And this is Rhodey.
And welcome to Not Your Average Church Girls Podcast. With a Z.
With a Z. Not an S.
How are you today, sis?
I am doing okay. I'm hungry, but I'm okay.
Listen. You said the H word, and I'm right there with you. My mom says she is as well.
Yes, so it must be a joint. I'll eat dinner after a while.
Yes. How's your day been going so far?
It's been going okay.
Good.
It's overcast, but I take overcast over a heat wave any day.
Listen, let me tell you, yes, I appreciate this weather. This kind of weather, I love this weather. Oh my God, I feel like this is like really good sleeping weather.
It's excellent sleeping weather.
Oh my gosh.
I need a good cup of soup and a recliner.
Listen, let me tell you, yes. Oh my goodness. I guess because I'm not a beach person, so I don't need the summer. And plus I have my own personal summers. So this weather is a welcome change for me.
I like the idea of a beach.
Oh,
I don't mind being on the beach, but sitting on the sand for 8 hours straight is not my idea of a good time.
Well, this is me on the beach. I would like to be in a nice hotel or a nice rental property, ocean front, where I could sit on a balcony and look at the water. I don't need the sand to touch my feet. If I could just, and I don't actually need to get in the water. If I could just look at it, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm good. Now, I might get in the water a little bit, maybe 20 minutes or so. After that, I'm good.
Yeah, and I may get in the water, but it's not something like, oh, I have to go to the beach. And, there's some people that they love to be in the beach. They love to be in the pool. That's just not me. I'm so weird. I'm really weird about pools. If there's too many people in a pool, I cannot get in. Like, I just cannot get in if there's too many people in a pool. Like, it has to be.
Pool today.
I'm sorry?
I was at the pool today.
Oh, were you?
You know I have to swim a lap.
How long did you swim for today?
Like a half an hour.
Oh, okay. That's good. Well, tell the good people, what is our topic for this episode?
Well, good people, our topic for this week is a lighthearted episode, and I want to call it, I Don't Want to Grow Up, or What They Don't Tell You About When Older.
Because when you said that, all I thought about, certainly my mom went back to when I was a kid in the 80s, that Cabbage, I think it was a Cabbage Patch commercial.
Toys R Us.
Toys R Us. That's exactly. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid, and however it goes. But, oh my God, immediately my mind went back to that.
Yeah, I can still sing the whole song.
Sing it. Please sing it.
You want me to sing the song?
I certainly do.
I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys and Toys R Us I can play with, from we say bikes to trains to video games. It's the biggest toy store there is. I don't want to grow up, because baby, if I did, I wouldn't be a Toys R Us kid.
Bing, bing. Yes. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yes, so the full part of the episode, I Don't Want to Grow Up, or What They Don't Tell You About Getting Older. Because if you're anything like me, I couldn't wait to get out of the house and be on my own. It wasn't really me trying to be grown beforehand. It was just like, okay, I'm sharing a room. I don't feel like I have my own space. I'm the middle child, so, you're not the baby, but you're not the oldest. And I was like, okay, I'm over it. I want to go have my own everything. And older people in your life don't tell you the truth. They don't tell you what it's really like to get older.
Wow.
And yeah, you have freedom, but freedom is not free. You have to pay for that freedom.
I was going to say, sometimes freedom costs.
Always costs. Always costs.
Oh.
They don't tell you about, I remember when Tyler might have been a baby still. They don't tell you what you have to do to hook up your electric, your phone. Back then we had cable, we didn't have streaming. But they don't tell you what all is involved in doing all that stuff.
Right.
You're like, wait a minute, why didn't you tell me this?
It's funny that you said that because I just had a conversation with my aunt recently, and we were talking about old man Arthur, better known as arthritis. And, and I said, Ma Liz, why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you tell me about this? And she said, I tried to tell you, just didn't listen. Because my God, Lord have mercy. And I was different. I was, my mom only had 2 kids, myself and my older brother. And so I'm the youngest. I wasn't never that person that, I can't wait to leave home. No, I actually was not that person at all. I always was kind of reluctant on leaving my mom behind. But I had a daughter, and I had to put her needs first above mine. And I didn't want her to grow up in that environment, that I grew up in. So I wanted something different for her. So that's what caused me to want to leave and make a change. But there's a lot of things that I was not prepared for. There were some things my mom prepared me for. Like, I knew about rent and stuff, all that stuff. But I really didn't know. And I think you may know things, but until you're in that, it's like until you're in the fire and you have to go through the process yourself. So until I actually had to write that rent check out, until I had to start paying Delmarva myself, paying car insurance myself, paying car payment myself, paying tithe and offering, you know, even with all that, you still have to pay tithe and offering. And sometimes the money is very, very, very scarce.
Oh, yes. And you hear your parents' voice come out of your mouth, and you kind of scare yourself. The first time you say, this didn't cost this much last week, and you say, oh, my goodness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The funny thing, you said that today I had to take my dog to the vet for his because I thought he had an ear infection, which he did, and also for his annual physical plus his vaccinations. Well, it came up to $200. And I said, wait, hold up. I was like, I need a breakdown. And he was like, well, the medicine for his ears is $70. I said, $70? When has it become $70? I thought it used to be like $18 for the medicine for you to put in his ears. And
do they have those online places where the medicine's supposed to be cheaper?
It's not always. I've tried Chewy and all. Well, it was because he said, well, I can send you home with some medication that you can put in his ears yourself. And I was like, I realized even with my daughter and I tag teaming this dog, when I tell you he defeats us every time. Yes, a dog. He defeats us. Literally, with us putting a muzzle on him, his harness on, his collar on, his leash on, he still defeats us. So I said, you know what? I had to pay the $70 for him to clean his ears out and put the medicine in his ears because we can't do it. This dog defeats us each and every time. Yes. He does not play. He does not like us putting things in his ears. So I was like, oh my goodness. I did not roll. So matter of fact, when it was time for me to pay, I said, can I have a breakdown of his other visits when he had ear infections so I could make sure that I paid $70 last time? And lo and behold, I certainly did. I did not realize that.
When people don't realize it, they're like, I want a pet, whether it's a dog, a cat, a bird. They don't realize how much it costs to upkeep that stuff.
Absolutely. I remember my niece wanted a dog. And I said to her, I said, if your finances are not in great shape, I would advise against you getting a dog. I said, because it's more to getting a dog than just getting a dog. Because if that dog has allergies, You have to do different things. Maybe have them on Apoquil, and Apoquil has gone up. You could try. We've tried so many different things with their thankfully, our oldest dog, I want to say he has outgrown his allergies or he's outgrowing them because he's not nearly as bad as he was when he was a puppy. It used to be really, really bad.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so he's gotten better. So hopefully, the Savage will outgrow his as well.
Another thing about wanting to grow up is you always wondered why your parents never had McDonald's money.
Right.
Now that you're older, you realize why they didn't have any McDonald's money.
Right.
McDonald's expensive.
Well, especially now, it's way more expensive.
You take out, whenever we get coupons, you get the flyers every week. I go looking through that thing like Sherlock looking for coupons, and I leave them in my car because
I don't get those. My mom was asking me, and I said, I don't think we get those here. If we do, it must go to the office, and they don't. Or maybe you're supposed to go to the office and get it. Maybe because
they're supposed to stick them in your mailbox because they just give them to everyone.
Yeah, I have not seen one since I lived here. I've been here 7 years. And
they
so,
on your coupons then.
Well, I normally just get my coupons off of the app, off the McDonald's app.
I do on the app, but sometimes I'll get coupons for Popeyes or Burger King or.
Oh, okay. See, I have all the apps downloaded. Okay, I'm telling on myself now.
No, I have apps. I have apps for Wawa.
Yep.
I have apps for McDonald's.
Yes.
I have apps for Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
And I think that's about it.
Panera Bread.
I'm old school. I still use my little cards because I don't go there enough for me to justify downloading the app.
Well, what happened was, I was going through my situation with my body. So, how I found out was posting one of my videos on TikTok, and then somebody's video popped up and said, Panera has this buy one get one free. And the sandwich she had looked so delicious. And I was like, let me check this out. So this sandwich had me in a chokehold. You hear me? In a chokehold for like a good month. It was some kind of Italian sandwich, kind of like the regular Italian. And it comes with like some Greek dressing, but I used to get it without the Greek dressing. And so I would get like, you could buy one and get another something like a half a salad or another half a sandwich.
The pick two. They've had it for years.
No, it's not the pick two. It wasn't the pick two. They still had the pick two, but this one was you could buy one buy one thing. I guess it was a half a sandwich, and you could get another half for free.
Oh.
Yes, and so, pretty much I was getting an entire sandwich for like $7.
That's good.
And if you ever had their sandwiches, like on their baguette, when I tell you it's very filling.
I've gone there for years.
Oh my gosh, it was so good. It was really, really good. So,
But I always look for deals when I go out someplace.
And the funny thing is,
it's only a few times a year that I go someplace and I don't ask about if there's a discount.
I understand. Growing up, the weird thing is, my mom was not wealthy, but for some reason, I won't say that McDonald's was just a treat for us. I was like I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I would like to say that I'm not going to say we had it every day, but I feel like we used to have McDonald's every Friday. Every Friday, Saturday, something like that. Even where I lived, this is so weird. I was telling someone, although my mom wasn't wealthy, nor was my aunt, but for some reason, they used to have fish fries every weekend. And not just have fish fry. My aunt would have like lobster. And they would have crabs and shrimp. all of this stuff.
That sounds like high cotton up there.
Right, and this is my childhood. This is honestly what I remember. That's how I found out I was allergic to shellfish. It's because they used to cook out and have like fish fries all the time. They would have blue crabs, bushels of blue crabs, and like I said, my aunt was always cooking lobster and shrimp and stuff. And so that's how.
We went out. My mom would take us out on Saturdays a lot, like to Friendly's or someplace else, and nothing extravagant, but we did get to go out sometimes.
But as a kid, going to Friendly's, that's like going to Sizzlers. You remember Sizzlers?
For a lot.
Sizzlers was like the thing. So shoot, going to Friendly's was on the right up there going to Sizzlers.
We would go to Sizzler and stuff a lot because my dad is a pastor, and sometimes if he had to go out of town or my mom just didn't feel like cooking after a long week, we would go out to dinner a lot. But, sometimes if we were like, okay, where are we going to dinner today? And she would say our home address because she was like, that's where you're going.
That is funny.
We're like, you're like, okay, we've been out to dinner maybe 3 weeks in a row. So where are we going now? She was like, home. Oh, okay. I tell you something that as a woman, I wish somebody had warned me more about is once you pass 45, you know where the bathroom in every store is. I know I do, because I'm like,
Well, growing up, wow, those are the good old days. Because you know what the funny thing is as well? I see a lot of people say this on social media when people are talking about things that black parents didn't allow you to do as kids growing up. Number one, if they had a cookout, there was no eating the grown up food. You had to choose between a hot dog or a hamburger. And I'm like, I hear a lot of people say that, but that's not my childhood. We didn't grow up like that. We were able to eat anything we wanted to eat. We was able to eat. There was no such thing as adult food. We were able to eat the hot sausages, the Italian sausages, the ribs, the crabs, the shrimp, the lobster.
At my house, you couldn't.
With my mom and my aunt, as long as you ate the food, that's the only thing they didn't play about. If you ask for it, you better eat it. There's no throwing away food. So if
that was the thing. A lot of kids will say, I want to have a rib or I want to have some crab. And a lot of times you have to grow into the adult things that you like because I only started drinking coffee a few years ago.
Well, see, my mom and my aunt, they knew us. I'm not talking about like the neighborhood kids. They knew us, so they knew what we would eat.
Yeah, but a lot of kids, and I don't blame parents for saying, no, you can't have it because they'll take a bite of it and I don't like it. And then you end up throwing the good food in the trash.
That is true. But I just didn't grow up like that. My mom and aunt always allowed us to eat whatever was cooked, we could eat it. So when I hear people say that, no, we cannot eat there was no, my aunt and I talk about that up to this day. My aunt was like, nope, my babies, whatever they wanted to eat, they could eat it because I knew you guys would eat it. Now, if you guys would not eat it, we would not allow you to play over the food. But they knew that we would get down, unfortunately. One time.
Nothing wrong with it, but you couldn't do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm noticing that must have been the trend in a lot of black households because I see it all over social media. I mean, like, I would say out of a lot of videos and comments I have seen, I would say I'll put on one hand, and that's being generous, of the people who had the same experience as myself. Everyone else had your experience.
Because as many church dinners as we've been to, even the adults will waste food.
Oh, but you're absolutely right about that.
They'll say, oh, I just want to taste it. And you give them like a forkful. They'll get an attitude with you and say, I want a bigger spoonful. Then you reluctantly give them a bigger spoonful. They taste it. They don't like it. They throw it away.
Yeah, that is true. Well, I don't know. Maybe it was just the neighborhood that I grew up in. that people just didn't waste food like that. I don't know if it's because I grew up in an urban community
I
or
grew
what.
up in the city.
So I don't know, but yeah, but you're right about church folks. They absolutely will do that.
Church folks and non-church folks. Last year, Tyler and I went with a friend of mine up to Lancaster to see one of the gospel plays. At
Sight and Sound.
As almost everybody does up there. I can't tell you, even though they had signs everywhere that said, please don't take more than you're going to eat.
Oh, really?
Full plates of food. Oh, yeah. Full plates of food, all on the table, just throwing it in the trash. And
I hate that people. Why?
I have no idea, but people, grown folks.
Right. I don't understand that. Like, I don't, first of all, I'm not a big buffet person. But the buffet that I would go to, but that's no longer, know how I found that is no longer here? Through TikTok. I was shocked. Just like I found that we don't have Christmas tree shopping any longer. Anyway, it's Old Country Buffet. That is because I used to go there and I would see the manager or the chef or whoever it was would literally go around with the thermometer, literally checking the temperature of the food. They would turn over their food very frequently. So that is one buffet that I would go to, that I actually enjoyed, but they're no longer here.
The buffet we went to, they were, the staff, I mean, it had to be a big staff because it's a really big restaurant and downstairs.
Oh, is it, I want to say Shady Maple?
Shady Maple.
Yes, okay.
So the staff was constantly replacing stuff, but people are crazy. They would take stuff that they knew they weren't going to eat. Don't take 2 and 3 big scoops full of it if you know you're not going to eat it.
Absolutely. And the thing is, then they wonder why people have to keep going up on their prices.
Yes.
Because of people like you. You're wasting food.
People like you.
Because not me. Because I know that despite of how I may look, I can't eat but so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I know if I want to try this and try that, I'll just get a little tiny spoonful. Because what happens is, say like if you want to try 10 different things, if you get a regular spoonful of everything, you're going to be so stuffed. But if you get a small little spoon, a little taste of this and a little taste of that, then you're like, oh, okay, I'm not feeling like nauseous and I have to regurgitate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So... and I'm just not about wasting. I hate having to waste.
I know you're telling the truth, and I tell you another thing that we thought was wonderful as children that we don't like so much as adults, and I feel like I'm speaking for most adults when I say this. Amusement parks.
Let me tell you.
Don't get me wrong, I love cotton candy, I love having a good time, I love fireworks, but as you get older, you realize that, what is it up to now? Like $60 a person to get in there? Something like that?
But from what I'm understanding, to go to Disney World, people have to take out loans. So
we went to Disney 2 years ago. We went to Epcot for our birthday trip, and we had to save up for that thing. Disney is not cheap.
That's why I was not joking when I said I've seen people on social media saying people, especially if they have families, that they literally have to take out loans or like max out their credit cards to go to Disney World.
Or you tell them, hey, if you want to go, let's say we're going 2 years from now. I'm telling you 2 years ahead of time to save up this money because I'm not paying for anybody.
Well, I mean, that's easy to say if it's not your children.
Oh, no. Like, absolutely not. We are paying for us, and I'm telling you 2 years ahead of time. So if you know full well that you probably can't go, please don't put your name on the list.
Absolutely.
But amusement parks, you know, kids...
And don't put your name on the list so about I'm going by faith.
Yeah. You're like, you know you ain't have no money when we announced it. So stop.
Exactly. Like, and you knew you didn't have any way of getting that money.
No. We told you, gave you plenty of notice. Now all of a sudden, you're asking, can somebody else help you?
That's a pet peeve of mine. Like, I have no problem telling people I cannot go. I cannot afford to go. My daughter and I, we're going to sit this out.
Telling somebody I can't go.
Because what you have to understand, for me personally, if I'm going somewhere, I always want to have a contingency. Because you just never know what may happen. So I don't never want to go with just enough. I want to have enough, and have enough, God forbid, something happens. And I don't want to have where I'm saying is enough, but I know my bills are due, and I'm going to be stressed out because I don't know how I'm going to pay my bill. You know what I mean? That's not fun for me. Like, I can't handle that kind of stuff. I have to make sure everything.
I can't go.
Yes, I can't handle that. I can't. So I would definitely tell.
And they want to, I understand you're excited, all these games and rides and toys and whatever else, and you want to just run around the park. But your parents, now that you're older, you don't realize why your parents aren't as excited as you are. Maybe because they don't want to pay $50 for parking.
Listen, let me tell you. And then, not only that, let's talk about the body. As you get older, you may have different things, injuries in your bodies. The things you used to love to do with those roller coasters. When I was younger, I had a friend. She and I, we used to love to go to Coney Island, go to Great Adventures and stuff like that, and get on the highest roller coasters. Baby, this Shaniqua, just looking at it is giving me heart palpitations. No. The last ride I got on was maybe, I'll say 8 years ago. And it may not have been that long. It may have been longer. So I'd say between 8 to 10 years ago. And it wasn't even a roller coaster. It was like, I wouldn't say, it was kind of like that boat ride. You know that boat ride that goes, kind of like the, what is that ride? That goes up and down from side to side. Like, kind of, I was going to say a seesaw.
I've probably been on it.
I was about to say a seesaw, but it's not a seesaw. You know how you take a baby? You know how you take a baby that's in your hand and you take the baby and you go rock the baby back and forth? It's like this big ship. And anyway, so I got on that ride. Honey, I called on Jesus so much. I'm lying. That was not the ride. It was some kind of ride that went up fast, up in the air, and then dropped you. Let me tell you, I said, Jesus, if you let me survive this, you will not have to worry about me getting on. Baby, people was laughing at me because I was calling on Jesus so hard. I can't take it anymore. I cannot take it anymore.
That ride I got on that made me say, I don't want to get on this ride again. I might be on something else. We were in Wildwood a few years ago, and I got on the bumper cars. And this little boy, I guess he was, as kids do, let's hit somebody. He rammed into me.
Oh.
And I can't really yell at the kid. We were on the bumper cars.
Right, bumper cars.
But he rammed into me, and I was like, okay, I can't do bumper cars anymore.
That used to be my most favorite ride, bumper cars.
But he shook me, and I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
And kids don't realize how much, I want to do this and this when I grow up. If something hits you like bumper cars, you do not recover the way you once did.
Listen. That is the truth. That is the truth.
Like, ooh, it hurts.
And that's just like talking about growing up, and let's talk about relationships. Sometimes when you young and you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, all you can see is that boyfriend or that girlfriend, and you can't look beyond that person. And little do you know, there's so much more life to live for most people beyond that person. Because most people don't just stick with that one person that they find in high school. Very few people this day and time. And sometimes we don't listen. Sometimes people try to warn us. and say, don't get caught up in that one guy or that one girl, because there's more life to live. You need to go to college. You need to experience different things. And sometimes, unfortunately, we don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
And we find ourselves in situations that we should have never been in. Or sometimes, what I try to tell young people this day and time, in the next 3 months, or in the next 6 months, you may not even be attracted to this person. So, if you give yourself over to this person, and in the next 6 months, if you can't stand this person, how are you going to feel about yourself knowing that you gave yourself over to this person? And I always tell people to think about that. Think how are you going to feel? Don't compromise yourself. Don't compromise your health for someone else. Because in the next 3 months, this person may not be nowhere to be found. And that's just the God honest truth. So don't compromise yourself and your health and your integrity and your moral compass for someone else.
That's true, but sometimes, as much as you tell them, you may have to let them fall on their face.
No, it's very true. But what I'm seeing a lot on social media now is a lot of people are starting to talk about this, that it wasn't really been talked about for a while, but it's starting to get talked about a lot more now. Is the HIV/AIDS crisis. And I hear a lot of people saying, listen, stop sleeping around because this thing is still out here.
And yes, I've heard the gay community talk about it. There was a podcast I listened to, and one of the episodes was about a dancer that lived back in the 80s in New York, and he was amazing, and he died of AIDS, and they were talking about how many people during that time died of AIDS, and one of the people who was still alive from that time period, he said, these younger people assume just because there's treatment that there's a cure.
Right.
And there is no, I'm sure there is a cure somewhere, but just because there's treatment that there's a cure, and some people are not being as careful as they should be. And that's not just for a gay community, straight community, black, white, whatever. Everybody needs to be very careful about what they're doing and who. And
that's my point, and that's why I try to get across to people, because what are you going to do? You compromise your body, give your body over to this person, whether you're a male or a female, give your body over to this person. You get a disease like Rhodey is saying that's incurable, and the person stopped talking to you. Don't want to block you on all social media, block your number. Now you stuck here with a disease because, I loved him. I loved her. She told me she loved me. He told me he loved me. And guess what?
Let me tell you something. People will tell you they can lasso the moon if they can get you into bed.
Absolutely. So I always stress that to people, because I'm like, really honestly, none of us know what the next second holds for any of us. The next second, this person could be dead and gone. Like, truthfully. And you're stuck here with a disease. So I try to get that across to the young people. Like, don't compromise yourself. Don't try to do things the way God wants you to do things. I know that may sound old-fashioned. I know people are like, she doesn't understand. Trust me, I may have been saved 20-something years, but I'm not dead, and I'm definitely not stupid. Hold on. So, I saw this young lady. She looked like she was in her early 20s, and I think she must be a nurse somewhere. And she was literally crying, real tears, saying, listen, guys, not just saying guys, but guys, like boys and girls in general.
Yeah.
Please, it's not a joke out here. Protect yourself. I cannot tell you how many people came into the ER alone this weekend. and tested positive for HIV. It's not a joke out here. Don't. And she was being real. She was like, is some of these people out here that's dipping and dodging and doing other things. So please protect yourself out here. Protect yourself. And so, like you said, we've all been young, and we've all I would say a lot of people have done stupid things, so it's not that we're taking stones and throwing at anyone else's house. It's not that. We're trying to give you guys wisdom. For those who may not have, that may be young and listen to this podcast, we're trying to give you wisdom. And I know some of you may say, oh, I'm not listening to those two old heads. Trust me, we're not as old as you think we are. That's number one.
No.
That's number one.
I mean, of course we're older than some of you. I'm 48.
And
that's close to 50. And I'm still dealing with that in my head. But I don't feel 48. Well, some days I do. Some days I wake up and I'm really stiff.
Well, I'm going to leave that one alone. I'm just not even going to touch that one. Because Lord have mercy. So.
Yeah, you wake up, you're like, I need to stretch up.
Ma'am, you're asking me?
I walk down the hallway.
I told the pastor recently, I said, I've been in chronic pain since I was 11 years old. I literally don't know what it's like to live a day without pain.
That's terrible.
Like, honestly, I cannot tell you how it feels to walk or live without having pain. Like, I don't know what that's like.
It is absolutely terrible. And one of the old saints said before, if you walked up to the altar and saw other people's problems, you take yours back and go sit down.
Listen, let me tell you, and that's why, and I said this to you before, and I've said this to other people, that regardless of how bad we may think our lives may be, there's somebody on the outside looking in, wanting our lives, thinking that we have it made.
No.
But it's the truth. You may not feel that way. I may not feel that way, but trust me when I tell you, it's like that. People always think the grass is greener, and I said sometimes the grass is greener, but guess what? That grass can turn brown too.
Mm-hmm.
That grass can go through a drought as well. So, growing up, I always this is what I try to tell kids and teenagers. Lord willing, you're going to be an adult way longer than you're going to be a child and a teenager. So appreciate where you're at. Don't try to rush through it. Appreciate it. And I understand everyone's situation is not the same. So some people,
like when you're 16 or even 12, that you will always be that way. You'll always be in school around people you may or may not like. It seems like your parents are always telling you what to do, and you don't like it. But for the most part, most parents are trying to protect you.
Absolutely.
Most parents are not trying to make you feel like you're some little kid and you're always going to be a little kid.
Absolutely.
Most parents are trying to protect you. Absolutely. Because most parents really do want the best for their children. We really do. We want nothing but the absolute best. And we don't want our children to hurt. We don't want our children to go through pain. And so we try to tell you guys things to keep you from going through situations that could cause you hurt or cause you pain. But of course, you have to go through your own process. And that's what I'm learning. Everyone has their own story to write. That's absolutely true.
And regardless of how much I may want to write my daughter's story, regardless of how much you may want to write your son's story, it's not for us to write their story.
Mm-mm.
It's up to them to write their own, once they become of age, to write their own story. So, and sometimes you're not going to agree with everything that's on the page of that story.
You're not. You're not.
But then I had to realize, I'm quite sure there's a lot of things my mom didn't agree with. And would have wished differently for my life.
And you're just not. That's just how it is.
So, I don't know if I'm just thinking about growing up. I don't know if I ever really wanted to be like, oh, I can't wait till I become an adult. I can't wait till I grow up and get it. I don't think I was ever like, I can't wait to get out this house. I don't really know. I don't know. I can't remember, honestly. I think some things I've really blocked out, so I really don't know.
I did. I'm going to tell you honestly. Yes, I did. I couldn't wait.
Perhaps if I had not had a daughter, there's a possibility that
this is when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. I was like, I can't wait to be an adult and get out of this house.
No, I understand it. No, what I'm saying is, I probably did have those moments. But I'm thinking maybe if I had not had my daughter, I would still be in New York, probably living with my mom. Because I know this is weird, but I have no problem actually living with my mom.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, like I have no problems living with my mom. Like I hear people like, I hate living with my mom, or I hate living with my parents. Are we perfect? No. Do I get on her nerves? Yes, I do. Get on her nerves. I'm not trying to intentionally get on her nerves, but I know I get on her nerves. And for example, sometimes like when we used to drive, I used to do this and she hates it. I would try to grab her hand, hold her hand, and she hates it.
She was jogging?
No, while we would drive. If I'm driving somewhere and she's in the front seat, I would try to hold her hand, and she's like, I am not your man. Get off of me.
You know what? I don't blame her. Good for you, Mom.
She's like, get off. Lady, get off of me. Stop touching my hand. And guess what? My daughter does it to me, and I hate it.
Hey, let me go.
Right. So, there's a lot of things. I know I have spoken to some of the teenagers that were once teenagers in our church who are now full blown adults. And they're like, oh my gosh, Sister Shaniqua, I wish I would have listened. Because it's so hard out here as an adult. I'm like, yeah, that's what we were trying to tell y'all. Yeah, rent comes, even though it comes every 30 days, it feels like it's every 5 days. Like, my God, because as soon as I pay it.
5 days.
Girl, because
we're not even going to get started on oil changes.
Absolutely. Because it's like, as soon as you pay rent, next thing you know, it's time to pay it again. And I'm like, my God.
I just paid it.
Yes. Light bills, everything. It's like, it just comes so much. And just like, I think you mentioned something earlier. And maybe it could have been perhaps before we even got onto the recording. We were speaking about dogs. And you were saying there's more to dogs or to animals than just having the animal. Mm-hmm. And that's why I try to tell people about getting a car. Getting a car sounds good. Oh, I could afford a Mercedes. Because it may be, even if it's an older Mercedes, I could afford. But can you afford the maintenance on that Mercedes?
Oh, my goodness. People don't. Anything.
Can you afford that oil change? Can you afford those tires? Can you afford if something happens to the engine or the transmission or the muffler or the radiator? Can you afford those things on this vehicle?
And Shaniqua can attest to what I'm about to say about a car cost that sneaks up on you.
Mm-hmm.
For registration.
Mm-hmm.
Getting your registration or renewing your license or something, you're like, even though most registrations now for the newer cars, I think they last at least 5 years, something like that, for like brand new cars.
I forgot, but a while it does last.
It lasts longer than it used to.
Right.
But it seems like you blink and you're paying it again.
Absolutely.
You're like, what in the world happened?
Yep.
Also, every adult, no matter your walk in life, can attest to this one too. You feel like even if you live alone, you might have a roommate, or just you and your spouse or partner. You just bought groceries, and it seems like they vanish into thin air.
Listen, we're not even going to go on groceries. Let's just skip that topic because that's a sore topic for me right now. Because I told you I saw the price of eggs, and I almost passed out in the store.
The price of eggs was not, I sound so old, it was not this expensive 3 weeks ago. I swear 3 weeks ago, eggs were only like $2 and some change.
Are you
now
serious?
They're almost $4 again.
Well, I told you I went to the store. This no lie. An 18 count was $9 and some change.
It's crazy.
I could not believe it.
Whoa.
$9 and some change.
Did the chickens protest and they suddenly need a raise?
Girl, I don't know. And I said, I'm so glad I'm not really eating eggs right now. My taste buds has changed. So, because I'm like...
I love eggs. That's the thing. I put eggs. I just poached some eggs last night and put in, I made ramen and poached eggs to put into it.
Oh, okay. Yes. I normally buy a lot of eggs because I feed it to the dogs. I make them eggs for breakfast or sometimes for dinner.
Dogs
different
are
things.
spoiled. We're just going to go ahead and say that. Your puppies are spoiled.
Well, it's funny because I was just speaking to one of the sisters from the church, and she said, "You do what?" I said, "Cook my dog's egg." She said, "You mean to tell me you?" I said, "Honey, I feed my dog more than eggs. I make them meatloaves. I make them sweet potatoes. I make them pork chops. I make them steak." She said, "Have you lost your mind?" I said, "No. Those are my dogs. I make them brown rice. I make them..."
We do give our fur babies treats. We give them meat stick every day, and we give them ice cubes in their water. The one likes it more than the other, the ice cold water. But we'll give them treats and stuff like that. But I don't go that far like Shanika does. No, I'm not cooking you hamburger and meatloaf and all that good stuff.
Actually, because I was feeling pretty good, I went to the farmer's market, and in the farmer's market, these two of the meat places, they sell raw dog food where they make up this actual raw dog food where you can feed this to the dog.
Farmer's dog.
Like what?
There's a company called the Farmer's Dog.
Yes, something like that. Yes, something like that. And you can either feed it to the dogs raw, or you could cook it for them. So I can give it to Savage Raw because he doesn't mind eating raw food. Winter is my bougie dog, and he doesn't really like raw food like that. He prefers his...
where he got that from.
So he prefers his food cooked. So I went and got them 4 or 5 of those, and got them 8 smoked bones to have for their treats. So.
Yeah, we usually on Saturday morning we'll give them, because they usually have dry kibble throughout the week, and we'll give them a meat stick throughout the week, and we usually give them an ice cube every day for a treat.
Oh, look at that!
We'll give them the meow mix.
Okay.
The tenders and the gravy, and they'll eat that. That's a treat. They're spoiled enough. And plus, they demand love constantly. If you're busy, you're typing, or you're reading, or whatever it is you're doing, and they want attention, they're not going to walk away from you. They demand the kisses.
Wait, is that them?
No, that's the fire truck in the background.
I thought that was one of them in the background, howling or something.
No, that's a fire truck. The window's open.
You cold?
Because I live about a block or so from a fire station. You don't hear it very often. It's just,
Well, I live right by a train track.
Oh, I used to live by a train track.
And so when it doesn't go, come over a lot, but when it does, the dogs go off. So do I love being an adult? Absolutely. But when you become an adult, you realize how fast time goes.
Enjoy. If you are blessed enough to have a family that allows you to be a child for, let's say most kids get their first summer job around 15 or 16. if you have a family and a community that allows you to enjoy being a kid or being young up until you're about 15 or 16, just embrace it.
Absolutely. Embrace it with all that you have.
Because a lot of people don't get that option.
No.
I know I didn't.
I didn't. I started working on when I was 11.
My dad is retired from HVAC, and he used to make us get up and work with him. We were like 7, and he would make us get up and go work with him when we were just little. I'm like, what kid wants to get up and go work on heaters on Saturday morning?
Wow.
I wasn't that kid.
Wow.
But, yeah, we had to do that, and I was like, oh, my goodness.
That reminds me.
Want it.
It's this show that I watch, but I don't watch it as much anymore. It's this cooking show called The Pioneer Woman.
Oh, yes, yes.
So her husband, I guess they own like a ranch, and her husband does cattling for his career or his business. And so when the kids were young, they were getting up like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. He like even in the summertime, he was getting up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They had to go with him to learn the business.
But that's life on the farm.
Yep. And now they have 2 daughters and two sons. The second daughter graduated college, and she actually came back home and realized her purpose is to help her dad. She really enjoys doing that stuff.
But yeah, a farm is not a job where you can say
It's a 9 to 5.
It's not a 9 to 5, and it's a 365.
Yeah. Yes. So if you want
have crops, if you have
animals, yep.
You have to look through them every single day. And even the Bible talks about that when I think the one group was trying to, mess with Jesus and, how come these people, they're working on the Sabbath and you're doing blessings on the Sabbath and you're not supposed to do that. But the Lord said, do you not feed your cattle and water them and brush them on the Sabbath?
Well, that's because those people had a set of rules for themselves and a different set for other people. So,
but my point is, you can't just say, okay, no work, but that's work.
Right.
On a farm work does not end. Now, if
it
you
does
live
not.
in a house in the city, whatever else, you can take a day or so off and say, okay, I'm putting the dishes in the dishwasher and I'll just run it later. You can't do that when you have farm animals and crops and other things to take care of. On you.
Or if you have a calling on your life, such as what God told me, that my calling does not end. It's a 24/7 calling. And I was looking real dumb. I was looking real dumb. Real dumb in the face. I was like, oh, okay. Like, okay, God. I was not expecting that. I was asking you about my devotionals and you disciplined me. But okay.
Hey. Hi, Graham.
My desire is to be able to afford a nice farm and to have to be able to afford a staff that can tend to my farm, to my garden. Because the reason why I want a farm is not that I want all sorts of different animals, perhaps, maybe, but it's more because I want to be able to rescue dogs. And I don't mean like to be a rescuer where dogs are sick and they come to me for rehab. No, I don't have that expertise. I mean to be able to go to different organizations, maybe rescue some senior dogs, some dogs with disabilities, dogs that seem like have no hope, that no one wants. The people keep ignoring it.
Some dogs that people just simply don't want.
Right, that's what I mean. So I would love to be able to have a really large farm, to be able to have somewhere to tend to these dogs, to make sure I can either have a vet on staff at all time, make sure I have really good staff that, that knows a lot about dogs, knows how to incorporate different dogs together, make sure we have a nice, huge barn or something for them to sleep in, just so they can live their best lives. That I said, God, I don't know what you're doing to me, how this happened, because this, I don't know how this happened, honestly. It's amazing how goals can change, your life can change, your desires can change. And now I can understand how people who have been married, whether it doesn't have to be 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Really, it could be you could be married to someone for a year and you could have changed. And you can grow apart. Now, because just me talking to you about this, realizing how I have grown differently and I have evolved and my desires have changed. Of like, I've never thought about really. 5 years ago, I would never said I want a farm with all these different dogs. Now, today, 2024, this is what I'm telling you. So now it really just clicked on me how people could say they have grown apart from someone.
Well, that's why when you get in any relationship, whether it's a familial or a romantic, you need to have regular conversations. Like you hear people say, you have to date your spouse.
Yes.
And you're like, why do I have to date my spouse? It's so that you two can be on the same page.
Yes, absolutely. Because
if one of you is thinking one thing and one of you is thinking another, you might come to an argument that you didn't even see coming.
Absolutely. Honestly, 5 years ago, if you would have told me that we would have actually had a podcast, I don't know. Even though I think we were talking about this 5 years ago, I don't know if I would have thought that it would have been true.
Absolutely.
If I'm being honest. Because sometimes you could talk about things, but sometimes when you don't have the expertise, sometimes things just seem so far-fetched or so hard to accomplish. But I feel like when God is in the midst of it, and I feel like when it's your purpose and it's God's will, not that it's going to be easy, because it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here in front to anyone or mislead anyone to think it's easy. Yes, it may sound like it's easy because we get up here and we laugh and whatever. That is the easy part, to be honest. Us actually just talking is the easy part, because I realize that comes easy for both of us to be able to speak. But the behind the scenes stuff, that's not easy, that people don't always talk about. Sometimes you go on social media and you see people and all you see is the glamorous part, the fancy part, but they don't show you the process. They don't show you when they're crying the tears in the midnight hours. When they don't know where to go and who to turn to.
You see somebody at a fancy party on the red carpet. They show you what they look like on the red carpet, but 8 o'clock that morning, they didn't look like that.
Absolutely. They didn't show you how they looked when they had their pajamas on and still had coal in their eyes and morning breath.
And lighting and no makeup.
Right. Absolutely. They didn't show you how their skin looked before the makeup, the foundation, and all the other stuff they put on. So, I said all that especially to all the younger listeners. Don't rush your life.
Please don't.
Trust your process, and don't compare your journey to anyone else's journey. And I know that sounds easier said than done. It's really easier said than done. It's not that easy, but your life will be so much easier to live with if you don't compare yourself. Because when you compare yourself to other people, it takes away your joy. It steals your peace. It makes you unhappy. It can take you into a deep depression. And so that's why I always tell people, try not to compare your journey to anyone else's journey. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't do that, or that I don't never get discouraged. I'm not going to lie. Yes, I get discouraged because things can be very difficult sometimes as an adult. Even as a saved adult, it's not always easy. God don't always just open up your roof and throw down pots of gold to you. You know what I mean? He doesn't always put millions of dollars into your bank account, or let someone send you a limited check with a blank check that says write whatever amount that you want in the spot. I already have it signed. Not that I know of. Maybe he has done that for someone, but he has not done that for me. So
if he has, could he please send that person my way?
Mine too. Can I get that kind of favor? Can I please have that kind of favor?
And also too, I was reading recently, if you, let's say you want to be an artist, a doctor, a dentist, it's also okay to say, hey, I don't want to do that anymore. I've gone to school for it. I got my degree for it. But then one day you might say, you know what? I just don't feel like this is what I want to do anymore. And let your family and friends and your coworkers try to talk you out of it. Now, make sure it's something you actually want to do so you're not wasting your time. But if you feel strongly that you no longer want to be those things, take the training to do something else.
Yes. And that's coming from someone who went to school for accounting. And now I hate accounting. Hate it. Like, I really hate it. And another thing, kind of piggybacking off of what Rhodey just said, don't allow someone to force you into something that you don't want to be into. For example, when I was going to college, the second time and the third time, I was taking up a major that I was not excited about. But it's because my cousin told me that's what I should do. And so I listened to her, and I don't have that many more classes to take before I get my degree. But it's been taking me so long because I'm just like, it's not my passion. It's not my purpose. So I'm not really drawn to those classes like that. Whereas if I was doing something that I really enjoy doing, I would be eager to take the classes to finish the degree. But because it doesn't this far out, I'm a senior now in college. I'm so far out with this major, it would not do myself any justice to switch majors. So for me, I have to ride it out. But you don't have to. So I will always say, please don't follow your heart. If I know the heart can be tricky.
Yes, it can. And I would suggest this if you're going to college or, soon within the next year or so. Take all of your core classes first. Take all the math. Take all the English. In that way, you can really see what you want to do because almost every major needs math and English. Yeah, so if you're really not sure what you want to do, just take those core classes. Take a couple of other requirements. You have some majors have an art requirement, some have a language requirement. Take all that stuff and get it out the way. Then think about your major.
And if you are in a major, I'm not sure if Rhodey said this, know that you have the option to switch your major. You don't have to stay stuck in that. You can switch your major. Depending on how far, like I said for myself, I would not do myself any justice to now switch my major because I'm now a senior. So I sat with my advisor, and unless I went to something like very, very basic. But don't rush to become an adult. Like I said, Lord willing, if you live long enough, you're going to be an adult way longer than you are a child or a teenager. So appreciate if you're able, like Rhodey said earlier, if you're in a situation where you're able to enjoy your time as a child, as a teenager, please take the time and do so. I know there's no perfect parent. And guess what? No. There's no perfect child. You're not perfect either. Not. So as much as you may think that your parents get on your nerves, imagine you get on their nerves as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right now, you pluck their nerves talking about what you want, or the newest sneakers are coming out, or you want an upgraded phone. Your parents, number one, are not made of money.
Absolutely.
Even if you do have a parent that does have a good paying job, who said they want to spend all their extra money on you?
Listen.
They love you. They want the best for you. But you're like, look, I just bought you sneakers 2 weeks ago. Why do you need more? I just upgraded your phone 6 months ago. Why do you need another one?
I realized my daughter's father and I did not do any justice for my daughter because
you spoil her.
We really did. We really did.
But you know what? She's not a bad spoil. She's not the type of person that you can't stand to be around.
No, she's. Oh no! Oh my God! No, she's not.
Some people are spoiled to the point you're like, I don't even want to be near you.
Yeah, no, she's not like that at all.
She's not like that at all.
And she said to me, I realized I have to work because of the lifestyle I want to live. I have to work to be able to work hard to be able to have that lifestyle. Sis, I'm glad you know. I'm glad you know that. And I'm like,
she's not. No, because some people, they're spoiled to the point where you're like, just go sit over there.
Oh my gosh, no.
You.
Oh my God. I try to always keep her level-headed and teach her like real life situations. And plus, let me remind everyone, I was a single mother. And so again,
as was I.
Right. So what I was going to say, as a single parent, anyone that's a single parent would tell you that, well, let me not say everyone. If you're a single parent and you had to go through struggles and different things like that, I wanted her to know what the situation is. You get a lot of stuff, but I work hard and your dad works extremely hard to be able to bless you and afford you the life that you live in.
Things.
I'm sorry?
I said to give you those things. I'm sorry, I was yawning.
Absolutely. So we hope that someone got something out of this, got a laugh. Maybe you saw yourself in this situation. Maybe you're starting to look at colleges. And maybe let me put this in someone here. Maybe you don't want to go to college. Maybe you want to go to a trade school.
I highly recommend trade school.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with getting a trade. Is awesome. Awesome. It's an awesome idea.
A roofer, a hairdresser, a plumber,
an electrician,
a nail technician, electrician.
Yes. Yes. Go for it.
And things that are real big now, people have all these fancy TVs. You could hook them up, hide the wires, do all that stuff, make them a man cave or a she shed or whatever, and just hook up their whole house. And everybody can't be a lawyer.
And everyone can't. Can we say this? And everyone can't be an influencer. Everyone cannot be an influencer. And there's nothing wrong with being an influencer. There's nothing wrong with being one. But I just need to let you know, everyone is not going to become a viral influencer.
And not to the point where that's your only source of income.
Absolutely. Now, there are people who make great livings as being an influencer. But it does not happen for everyone. So you always have to have a backup plan, especially in situations like that.
And I've heard very successful influencers say it's not as easy as you would think because they have to constantly post. They have to constantly be involved with other things. It's a lot of work.
It's a coming from someone. Let me tell you, I'm not an influencer at all. However, I have about 12 or 13 different things I have to post to, and I post about 4 or 5 times a day. It's a lot of work. Someone said to me, "Wow, Shaniqua, that's like a job." Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
People are very, needy. Not in a bad way needy, but in this world where we have so much constant in your face, in your face, in your face all the time. People want content all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They want new things. Even if Shaniqua, and I know she posts more than this, but even if she was able to only post once a week, people are like, well, why don't you post twice a week? Why don't you post 3 times a week? Do you know how much time it takes to even post once a week?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, even today, I'm backed up and posting. Like, I've only posted twice today. So I need to post at least another 2 to 3 more times. And I normally try to post on schedule. But then sometimes I can't always post on schedule because what I do deals with God. And I have to sometimes just wait on God to give me what he wants to give me. So that's what also makes me different than from influencers and other content creators. And maybe from other people who, I don't know if they consider what they do ministry or whatever. That's how I do my stuff. Because I've realized, and maybe you knew this, Brody, sometimes everyone that's on social media is not always writing their own stuff. Sometimes people are taking other people's stuff and posting it as if it's theirs.
Posting it, or they have friends and family writing it for them.
Yes. I remember someone thought somebody was writing my stuff. Until one time I had wrote a post and the girl said, wait, is Shawnee talking about herself? Did Shawnee write this? And she texted me. And she said, Shawnee, did you actually write the post that you just posted? And I was like, yes, I write all of my posts. And she said, wait, everything you post, you actually write it yourself? And I said, you should have seen my face. I said, yes. And she said, oh my gosh, I did not know that. You are so anointed. You are so gifted. She said, I thought it was somebody else writing it for you. I said, but it's on my page.
You know what? You're in great company.
I was confused because I said, but it's on my page. She said, I know it's on your page, but I still thought someone else was writing it for you and you was just posting it. And I did not realize that was a thing.
Oh, yeah, but you are not alone in that because, you know, some of the great writers and thinkers and artists over the years have been accused of the same thing. People right now, there are people who swear that Shakespeare did not write all of his plays and sonnets.
Oh, yes. Yep. That is
They
true.
don't believe that one person could do that.
That is true. That is absolutely true.
And you're like, no, I did that myself. I write all of my stuff. And I haven't released it yet, but somebody might come along and say, well, you couldn't have written that all by yourself.
It's just...
Yes, you can. Depending on your life experience and your writing ability, yes, you can do it all by yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But friends,
so
we're
gonna
so
yeah.
glad that you were able to join us.
Yes.
Please like, please share, please subscribe, please comment.
Yes.
We want to hear from you, and I have an announcement that Shaniqua didn't know about. I will be releasing my book by the end of this year.
Woohoo! And guess what? I have one that she didn't know about. So will I. Oh my gosh. I just finished speaking to my publisher recently. So I will be releasing mine as well. I didn't want to say anything, but since Brody said something about hers, I said, oh, let me say something about mine too. So look at that. Look at God. Look at God.
And let me tell you, I don't even know what hers is about, but ours are very different.
Yeah, I feel confident in saying yes. They are very different. I feel very confident to attest to that. And it's nothing wrong with friends or family doing things similar, because guess what? However she writes is not how I write. The way I write is not the way she writes. So, and it's okay to support both people.
Yes, it is.
And because there's a lot of stuff that she's doing that I'm not doing, that I have no desire to do. And I'm quite sure there's some things I'm doing that she has no desire to do.
That's true.
And it's okay to support one another. Even if somebody's doing something similar in the same field as you, it's okay to support other people.
You're not going to get beat up because you're supporting someone else.
Absolutely. It's okay. It's okay to support someone else. Just because they're in the same field as you doesn't mean, and because I don't know if Rhodey's book is fictional or non-fictional.
It's a little bit of both.
Mine is going to be based on fictional. I'm not fictional, non-fictional. Mine is going to be actually a memoir.
Some of the things in the book did happen, but some of them they didn't happen. I tried to weave it in well. So.
It's kind of like maybe a Lifetime movie.
Absolutely not. I am not a Lifetime movie.
Oh, okay. No, I meant in regards of how even things they always say based on a true story. So how they may embellish some things or add some things.
I'll just say some things happened, some things didn't, because it's not really necessarily based on a true story.
Okay. No, mine is see right then they're both different. Mine is an actual memoir. However, mine has been in the work for so many years that I really am ashamed of myself.
No, because I started writing this back in 2016.
I started mine, I want to say 2000. I say this. When I first decided to put a date on it was 2012. That's the first date I put on it. But I started doing this way before 2012. So that's how long I've been trying to do this memoir. It's been that many years. And I know somebody's saying, wow, that is sad. But for me, what happened for me is sometimes life shifts and sometimes life can deal you some onions, not even lemons, just some straight up onions. And you realize sometimes life can be really short. So if there's things you want to do, things you want to accomplish, you better try your best to go ahead and do it.
Go do it. And that's why I said, let me announce that I'm putting it out there. We really, really want you to read them. Please give us your feedback.
Yes.
Just like with the podcast, we would like you to please like, subscribe, and share. You can find it on just about every platform where you can find podcasts.
Including YouTube?
Yes.
Including YouTube. And I want to say thank you to all of our listeners outside of United States of America.
Yes, thank you, international listeners.
And Belgium and Russia and India. Thank you for everyone who takes the time out to listen to us. Because of you, we're able to continue with this podcast. So thank you. Because of you, we're in season 2. So thank you for listening. Thank you for giving us your time. And as always, we'll see you back next week, Wednesday. Not Your Average Church Girls podcast drops every Wednesday at 5 a.m. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless you.
See you soon.
Bye.